What's going on, everybody? Stas here. Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about the EV stocks. Are EV stocks oversold? Is it time to buy the electric vehicle stocks? We're going to be focusing on companies such as NIO, Lee, XPEV, Fisker, CIIC, which is a new one here that I personally like, Solo, Workhorse, SB, BLNK, and a bunch of other ones. And I really just want to nail down my opinion on, is it time to buy these? Is it time to sell the electric vehicle stocks? Or is it time to just sit back, relax, and watch them? So if you guys find value, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to get yourself 4 free stocks from WeBull down below. That does run out here in the next couple of days. So first and foremost, a lot of these, well, honestly guys, most of these stocks, if not all of them, have run an extraordinarily amount here in 2020, and more particularly the past couple of months, right? You guys can see here with stock number one, we're going to talk about NIO, a Chinese electric vehicle company. It's run from $2 rather, all the way to almost $60 per share. And what you guys have to realize with the stock market and stocks in general, nothing is going to run up indefinitely, right? We're going to see pull downs, corrections along the way, and that is kind of what we're seeing with NIO and a lot of these electric vehicle companies, the stocks out there, right? And in NIO's case in particular, what we see here, if we zoom in on the hourly chart, is we're down almost 30% from that $58 all-time high, about 27% to be exact. And when we actually hit the low a couple trading days ago, and I'm not saying this is the low, right? Like it's the bottom. We don't know where the bottom is, but the bottom from last week was 38 bucks. That actually marked almost a 35% drop from the peak here on NIO. So taking a look here at some technicals, right? We're not going to focus too much on the fundamentals in this video, although you can argue that a lot of these EV stocks are moving ahead of their fundamental value, right? And that kind of is, is another thing worth noting here is a lot of the time stocks, well, they're forward-looking vehicles, so they're looking in the future. So that's kind of why we're seeing the prices spike up a lot, because they're pricing in the future growth. So at this point in time, when you're looking at NIO's fundamentals, maybe they don't match up with the price of the stock, right? The price of the stock could be overvalued, but when you're looking 5-10 years out, maybe the stock isn't as overvalued when you're considering the future growth of the company. So keep that in the back of your head. Always keep that in the back of your head, not just for EV stocks, but for stocks in general. They're forward-looking vehicles. But anyway, we're going to focus more on the technicals today. And NIO, again, dropped about 30%. And what we're noticing here with last week's price action is, again, we hit a bottom of $38.50 to about $39. And notice if I pull back on this 30-day chart, that's actually where NIO was able to hold back in the middle of November, right? Roughly, right around 39 to 40 bucks, and in the beginning of November. So we can see it here. 5th of November, we held 39.50. 6th, the 9th, also in the 10th of November, also in the 13th and the 16th of November. So what I'm saying here is this could potentially be the floor for NIO, but what we're also seeing here is we're actually still downtrending on the hourly chart, right? Which is why I'm not 100% convinced that this is the floor for NIO, that $39.50 to $40 level. Notice how we're still under both the 180 and the 50 SMA here on the hourly chart, and we're not out of that downtrend quite yet. So for me to be like, okay, NIO is bottoming out, we're rallying out, and maybe we're going to go back and test the all-time highs, I need to see it break, let's say, $45 to $47, right? That's right around that 50 SMA here on the hourly chart. If that breaks, I can see it running out of this whack into the 50s. That's quite honestly my opinion here. And overall, we are getting a little bit oversold considering this 4-hour chart. I mean, you guys can see RSI is close to 30, and whenever it's close to 30, that means it's a bit oversold. And we're actually also, we held last week the 50, or rather the 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart, also right around that $39.50 to $40 level. So I'm not calling the bottom quite yet, but this very well could be the bottom, especially if we break this downtrend that I showed you guys on the hourly chart to the upside. And going over to some other Chinese plays, we have Li Auto here. You're noticing a very similar thing. It's down $20 per share from that almost $50 all-time high here. That's even more than NIO, down more than NIO, over 39%, almost 40% down here in terms of Li, and we're not showing any signs of a reversal on the hourly chart, right? We're still under 50 SMA, 180 SMA, so what I'm going to be looking for with Li Auto is, are we going to hold this 180 SMA? We held that before a couple weeks ago in the middle of November at a higher low, and we rallied off of that point. So this would be a potential entry point, in my opinion, for Li Auto at about $28 to $30, literally right where it is right now. If we do find confirmation of a breakout, a bounce up there, and ultimately a break out of this hourly downtrend. You guys can see both 50 and 180 SMA again are acting as resistances. So if 30 can hold, we pop out, let's say into the mid 30s, that could be a breakout spot for Li Auto. And honestly, the upwards momentum at that point, I know it sounds crazy, but it could very well continue as, in my opinion, yeah, there's a lot of hype around the EVs, but in my opinion, I don't think the hype around electric vehicles is quite over yet. If anything, this might just be the beginning. Who knows? Who knows? I could be wrong, and I would love to know your opinion down below in the comments. And another one here is XPEV, right? I probably am pronouncing that wrong, but we're noticing XPEV is down about $30 from its high, down about 35%. We are approaching a pretty big support, I'd say at about $41, $40. And out of the Chinese ones, you know, NIO, Li, and XPEV, this is one that I think might have a little bit more downside. I think it might be able to sell off more towards the mid 40s, maybe even low 40s, right around that 180 SMA here on the 4-hour chart, maybe even right around that old resistance from back in the beginning of November. That might hold as support, or maybe even 41.50 to $42, right? So XPEV, I think it could sell off a bit, especially if we go and gap down on Monday, Tuesday, and test those lows from last week at about 46, and especially if we take those lows out, we might be going $41, $42 here on XPEV. And another one here that's interesting, guys, and I do have a bunch of notes on this particular stock, and if you guys recall the Workhorse short report from Fuzzy Panda a couple weeks ago, they mentioned Arrival, and we'll get into that here in a second. So CIIC is merging with UK-based company Arrival, a UK-based maker of electric vans and buses, kind of similar to what Workhorse is doing in a sense, but over there in the UK. UPS actually ordered hundreds of millions of euros worth of bespoke purpose-built electric vehicles from Arrival, accelerating USPS's transition to a zero-emissions fleet. Today's initial order of 10,000 vehicles will be rolled out over 2020 to 2024, 4-year span there, with the option for a further order of 10,000 vehicles. And like I said, Fuzzy Panda actually mentioned this Arrival in that short report for Workhorse, kind of as a point to go against Workhorse, right? And this is directly from the short report, quote unquote, "Nothing says a contract is dead," and they're referring to Workhorse's contract with the UPS, not the USPS, the UPS. Nothing says a contract is dead like eliminating all mentions of your further partner from filings, right? And they're referring to the UPS. They had a little relationship with Workhorse, but it seems like didn't work out. They didn't want to scale up with Workhorse, and they actually went with Arrival. That's kind of like the little basis here of this short report from Fuzzy Panda, at least this part of the short report where they mentioned Arrival. And that is just what UPS did when they released their UPS's 2019 sustainability report. UPS eliminated all mentions of collaborating with Workhorse, who has prominently been featured in the 2018 report, and they were also mentioned in the opening statements of the 2017 report. So UPS seems like, again, they are not going with Workhorse according to these reports, right? And they're actually looking to scale up with Arrival, which again is CIIC. This is the SPAC that's taking Arrival Publix. So we're seeing that. A lot of orders coming in from UPS. It seems like they're trying to build a strong relationship with UPS, and if that works out, seems like it's on the way to working out. That's going to be massive for this company Arrival, as UPS, you guys obviously know, that's a big company, right? And we can see Arrival, CIIC ended up going up 26% here on Friday. Unbelievable, up $5.69. And this is one out of the bunch that honestly is not oversold. It's arguably a little bit overbought. So I'd like to see a pull down here on CIIC. Maybe we don't even pull down. Maybe we take out the highs of 33.90 before we pull down. But overall, this is one that I'd be a little bit careful with, as the RSI is a little bit over 70. But overall, I think CIIC does have a lot of potential in the long term, especially if that UPS contract, the UPS relationship pans out to be a massive relationship, right? So another one here is Solo. This actually develops, manufactures, and they actually sell EVs over there, up there. I'm in New Jersey, up there in Canada, right? Shout out to the Canadians, if any, watching this channel. If you are, shoot me a comment down below. But you guys can see Solo is down well over 50%. It's actually down, just about 50% here from its high, right? On Friday, it went down about 2%, and we're getting closer and closer to that 180 SMA here on the 4-hour chart, and this one, no doubt about it, got ahead of itself. It went from unbelievable, from $3 in the beginning of November all the way up to $13. Now we shed about half the value, and honestly, I would like to see this thing closer to $5. I mean, if we could get to $5 on Solo, I think that could be a nice entry point right around that resistance back in the beginning of July. Also right around that 180 SMA support, right around that old resistance back in July as well. I think that could be a bottom point for Solo, and even where it is now could be an entry point, but we have to see that confirmation of the breakout. We're just not getting it quite yet. You guys can see Solo is in this little wedge that I just drew, so we just have to see what direction it ends up picking, whether it's up or down. And this one's definitely in the more oversold category, so watch out for some sort of relief rally here, and we could see a sharp relief rally. As we all know, these stocks are crazy, and when they get hot, oh man, do they get hot. So another one is Workhorse. Again, like I mentioned earlier, Workhorse is not looking to scale up with UPS, but there is a lot of potential with USPS, right? USPS. And one thing to notice here, to note, is the USPS contract announcement got pushed back yet again. Originally, it was supposed to be back in October, right? You guys can see this thing ran up from about $23 to $30 in anticipation of that, and then it tanked all the way from $30 to $15 as they pushed it back to December, and the stock rallied from the beginning of November into December in anticipation of this announcement. And when we got the news yet again that they're pushing it back to the first quarter of 2021, well, the stock got hit again, right? And that's kind of the pattern you're noticing here. The contract gets pushed back, the stock sells off, but then it rallies into the anticipation of the contract announcement. And that kind of gets to the point I want to make right now. I think now that the contract announcement is pushed back to Q1 of the next year, I think we're going to rally into that contract date again, whether it's from $22 to $28 to $32. I think Workhorse does have some potential here in the coming months to, to get, not even the coming months, more the coming weeks, to get to the mid-20s, maybe even back to the high 20s on the USPS announcement. And what you guys have to realize is there's a lot of risk here, right? You guys have to understand, if that contract gets pushed back again, or Workhorse doesn't get a significant portion, or if it doesn't get any of the contract, that's going to be a huge blow. The stock could easily go back to the teens, in my humble opinion. So watch out for that. SBE is another one here, some charging station stocks here. You guys have to realize EVs, they got to be charged, right? So you got to put them somewhere. SBE here and BLNK is another one, and both of these have been hot, as you guys know. Heck, right? You know, we can't curse here on the channel, but you guys know what I'm talking about. SBE has been unbelievable. It's gone from $11 to $40. That's a 4X. Went back down to about 25. Now we're rallying back up to the mid-30s, about a 20% rally off of that potential low here, right around $25. So could this be a dip buy? I very well think it could be. We're seeing a breakout slowly occurring here on the hourly chart. You guys can see SBE is in this wedge right now. We're holding the 50 and the 180 SMA. We actually broke both moving averages on the hourly chart. Now I just want to see it break this wedge, right? Very simple. I think if we can take out, let's say, mid-30s, 34, 35 on SBE, this could be going to test $38, which is that resistance from back on the 30th of November. So watch for the breakout. Very simple. This one's showing a sign of a bottom on the 4-hour and the hourly chart. We just need to see the break out of that wedge. And BLNK is another one. Good old BLNK charging, guys. This one, I think, is this one's a difficult one, technically speaking, right? It's gone from $9 to $40. Now we're pulling down to $20, and we're in a very similar pattern. I mean, you'll notice a lot of these EV stocks, they're in wedges on the hourly chart, and they're just waiting to pick direction, right? This one's a bit tricky. I mean, if we can break, we're still under the 180 SMA, but I think if we can break that on the hourly chart, maybe there's some short-term potential to $25 first target, maybe $29.50, $30 second target. So watch out for that on BLNK. But then again, going on this 4-hour chart, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it sold off a bit further, maybe made another leg down to maybe $18, $20. Who knows? That could happen, and that's with SBE as well. It could also make another leg down based on this. Who knows? That could definitely happen. And one of the ones that I like the least, my least favorite, honestly, I'll just be blunt and say it, Nikola is my least favorite. They actually lost a good portion of that deal with GM. It didn't go as we thought, which is why this stock is getting hammered. It's gone from $35 to $16. Now it's consolidating a bit. And I warned you guys a couple weeks ago when we got that news, actually more like a week or two ago when we got that news from GM and the stock rallied. I warned you guys, hey, if this deal doesn't go down like it's supposed to, it's going to tank, the stock that is, and I ended up being right. The stock tanked. The deal did not go as it was planned to go originally, and now we're seeing consolidation around 16, and would I invest long-term in Nikola? Absolutely not, but it doesn't rule it out as a trade. Honestly, it could still be a trade. I mean, who knows? From $16 support here the past couple of days, we've been consolidating around there. Now we're in the 18s, almost 19s. I can see Nikola fill the gap up, maybe to $20, maybe $22 in the short term, which does give it a good amount of potential as a trade, but again, as a trade. All of these other ones I would consider long-term, but Nikola, not so much. And Tesla's one that is definitely not oversold. It's actually a bit overbought. So I'd be careful here with Tesla. I mean, this could be a top forming at about $600, but then again, we're uptrending into that top at $600, so that could be a breakout spot to go up even further, maybe $620, $630. This is looking like an ascending triangle into that resistance at $600. So although we are a bit overbought on the 4-hour chart on Tesla, it's crazy, but it could explode out of 600 and maybe go higher. But then again, it could go lower here as the hype around the S&P 500 inclusion maybe starts to die down. So be careful with all of these guys. Be careful. There's no doubt a ton of money to be made, but you guys have to be careful because many of them, especially NIO, I mean, these stocks are up hundreds of percent. In some cases like NIO, they're up thousands of percent from their lows just a couple of months ago. So let me know your thoughts down below on these stocks. Which one's your favorite? If you had to pick one, I have a serious question. If you had to pick one stock out of the bunch we talked about, NIO, Lee, XPEV, Fisker. Actually, we didn't even talk about Fisker. Gosh, guys, I skipped Fisker. Fisker's one that I think has more upside. They actually got upgraded by Citigroup to $26 and a buy rating. Was it Citigroup? I'm pretty sure it was Citigroup. Anyway, it was one of these firms. They upgraded Fisker. So watch for the dip here on Fisker. If it can break $18 resistance from back in September and middle November, I think we could be seeing $20 again and higher. But anyway, NIO, Lee, XPEV, Fisker, CIIC, Solo, Workhorse, SB, BLNK, Nikola, and Tesla. Which one, if you had to pick one, actually forget Tesla. That you can't pick Tesla. Other than Tesla, if you could pick one, which one would you pick? Drop the comment down below. And if you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 20,000, which is the goal for 2020. And don't forget to also get your 4 free stocks from WeBull down below, which ends up ending in the next couple of days, so make sure to get your free money link down below. So I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. As always, stay safe out there, guys. Peace out.